This morning, I noticed a car stopping by early in the morning and was somewhat dubious about what's going on. So I thought about how to deal with it. That led me to think about various things about Zen. The theme is how to find the insight. In the case of that car, for example, it's wrong time, little noise, unusual event. So nothing to speak of, and maybe there's nothing dangerous, but I stipulated something. So insight, or coming up with the insight, there's a moment to initiate. Is this something normal or not? And that's really important when it comes to live well, so that you don't get into the trap. I can think of Matsushita Konosuke, who talked about the snow mind, which is like a calm and quiet mind or samadhi. And he talked about, for example, if he didn't become such a super manager to lead the organization Panasonic, he said at one point, if he chose to be a cook to cook ramen, he would become the number one in Japan. And I thought what's interesting, and as I was cooking my breakfast, I realized that the movement of what I do, which one to pick as a material to cook, in what sequence, heat up the frying pan, cook, in the meantime prepare this carrot or onion, one after the other, and there's a sequence of what to pick up from refrigerator. I'm living alone, so I'm learning this skill, and I realize it's like a smooth movement of event that happens without waste. So it's a interesting skill, not using the brain as much, but orienting in certain sequence and direction. And that also is to be seen in, actually, the book I wrote about the lean or waste elimination Toyota production system. And for example, I visited Toyota and saw this guy moving like dancing. At Aishin, another company, I saw how they move around as if flowing. And every sequence of event is predetermined pretty much, but it just comes naturally, and doing things in certain sequence and finished in certain time. If there's a problem, expose the problem, unknown idea, light may pop up and people get to help them if there's need. So those are the system of Toyota production system, and it's like this cooking sequence. Especially in cooking, everything changes every day, material changes, and the nutrition and so many parameters. So it requires so much skill. So that's the principle of waste elimination. There's the wisdom behind it, and people to connect to develop skill takes time. There's a learning process, how to teach people or operators and what to do. So that's behind, and therefore, whether it's cooking breakfast or this manufacturing in doing certain sequence, or becoming the very famous cook or skillful cook to do well with the right nutrition as the customer needs and respond to it with the material you have, all required certain skill. And it takes time to capture that essence of how we develop. So, application of the skills, ability, knowing what's going on, what's needed, in what sequence, what to do. If you think about our body, that's what they do. It's not in our mind to tell what to do in terms of how to digest eggs or meat or protein, to drive it to which direction, and then the liver would prepare certain bile or the whatever necessary to process the fat coming, and all the nutrition get distributed to the needs, but also help develop the immune system and all of that. So all I'm saying here is that the idea of the wisdom, which originates from what I call it, from the heart, the law of the universe that brought us onto this earth, is prevailing, and we can access that as human with the brain, because we have that ability in our body to process it. And there's magic, beauty, and the truthfulness so far as we can access that. Another thought that popped up was the koan of the thief. I may have mentioned in the other video that this parent of the young thief to be, because the parent is a good thief, he gave a challenge for the son, and he locked him up in the warehouse and to see how he would respond, because there's no way out, and this is in the warehouse, and next to it is lots of samurai living. So how do you get out of it? That's the test of the thief. Funny Koan. So he came up with the idea of making little noise like a mouse. The people came for the house and hear this cabinet, and it's locked because father locked the key and opened up, and they thought there's a mouse in there, but out of that was the guy jumping up and gave them surprise and ran. And on the way he found the well and threw stone into it, making a big noise. So the people following him was diverted their attention to something, and therefore he found the way out. So that's how he became a good thief. Not a good example, you may think, but for people to live, how do you bring the wisdom? And that skill may be, well, not a good example, but necessary to find the insight when there is a situation where there's no way out. Or the Zen Koan is preparing you to have that kind of skill, to find the insight, not to be only found from the brain or the mind in the conventional way, but beyond the conventional wisdom. And actually that's Taichi Ono said, and gave me a calligraphy beyond the conventional wisdom. And the other one was the challenge. 2 pieces of calligraphies I received from Ono, who was known as the master of the lean production, creator of the lean production, waste elimination. Good old days when I met him one-to-one, and I asked the calligraphy, and those 2 words are the ones that he gave to me. Challenge, beyond the conventional wisdom. So when you go through that, another thought that popped up in this few minutes this morning while cooking breakfast is that there's a Zen saying, the law of the universe is apparent. It is beyond the human construct of regulation or way of thinking. I may be modifying a little bit to make the point understood for this discussion from the original saying, but basically there's something beyond what our conventional wisdom says. And if you reach out to that, you would find the connection to the heart, the way of universe, how the creativities brought us to live on this earth from all the atoms and whatever combined in certain way. So that's the basic principle of Zen, of being creative, be wise, also compassionate. I'm not going to go into it, but compassionate for the sake of for the species to live better, you can call that, so that you are not just having the skill on your own, but sharing with others, because that's natural. So that sentence I mentioned about going beyond the conventional wisdom and even violating the human logic in an ordinary sense is to keep on improving, innovating. If that recreation is not suited and become too conventional and stale, you need to come up with a new one. So that's the spirit of Zen, to have this aliveness always with you and be ready to practice. Whether it's an odd situation when there's a car parked and doing something a little dubious, or how to cook lunch or breakfast, and how to find a way when there is no way to escape. Just one more thought that popped up right now. Daisetsu Suzuki was in the meeting, and there was the window open, and the people discussing and their papers on the desk. And when the wind blew, many people's papers kind of blown out. But Daisetsu could put his hand on so that he was ready, like a samurai, living for the sake of what you need to do. Be rooted in your unconscious or big you, as I said in the other video. There's something in what I call the heart, or not just the small me, in the sense of within my little mind, but there's like a deep learning, like AI, having the access to potentials that we have inside and bring that out. It may look unusual because it's not conventional, but if you are trained, you can connect to the source and be able to live well. May look a little unconventional. That's another thought that I could mention, but for this talk, maybe we'll skip that. But unconventionality is beyond the conventional wisdom. So whether like the investment idea, Warren Buffett, Charlie Munger go through and come up with the idea where to invest. It's similar to samurai or Musashi found a way to live well. There are certain principles we can access and help bring that principle out to live well, not just for one, but for others with compassion, may be found as the spirit of Zen.